Hello, I'm so glad you're here because today I am collaborating with my good friend Amy over at Paper Therapy with Amy. We're both using this. Oh, there's a text from Jama. We're both using this sketch design to as our jumping off point, our inspiration. I am going to stretch the sketch and turn this into a double page because I have six photos, not three. What is happening? And this usually when I stretch the sketch, this is kind of like my left-hand page and I'll make a companion page, but I'm going to turn this one into my right side. And then I will create a title page for my left. Jama again. Hang on, Jama. I'll check those texts in just a moment. But this, I decided to make this my right-hand page. You'll see why when you see my photos. So I've got three 4x3 photos. This is my niece Madeline, and she is a Halloween baby. Well, she was born October 30th. So they did a little photo shoot, kind of a spooky photo shoot, where she is in a cemetery and it's just the wind and the leaves, and it was actually quite beautiful. So if you look at these three photos, she is looking in on all three of these. Her face is angled to the left. If I were to make this my left hand page and had my photos to the left, it's like she would be looking out of the layout. So I think it'll look much better if she is looking into the layout. So we'll put this on the right. And then I have three more photos for the second page. So let me go ahead and clear my desk and we'll jump right in. I have the Spooky Sweet collection, and this is one of those where I can already see the finished result in my mind. I know exactly what I want to do with this and what papers using that sketch. So let me grab my Versamat here. I am planning on adding some background stamping, so I think I will build this layout on white. Whenever I know I'm going to do some stamping, I like to use lighter colors so it shows up. And plus, I do want this to be fairly black and white, kind of like a grayscale type layout with just a pop of orange. So because I have my inspiration for the right-hand side, I'm going to start with that one first. I'm going to bring in the sketch so I can refer to it. And looking at these photos, this one is more zoomed in. So, and these two are kind of the same focal distance out. So I think I'll put this one in the middle since it's a little bit different than the other two. And again, I'm flipping the sketch. So we're putting this on the right-hand side and angling it in. So I'm just kind of reversing this design concept. Now we've got several layers. That's probably about a 4 by 12 inch piece, but I am not really concerned about getting the measurements exactly. There's three different layers. So we're using that as our inspiration. I've got lots of pattern paper here that I am considering. So this one's black with just a little bit of orange, and then we have gray. The opposite side, this one is part of a cut apart sheet, so I don't think I'll be using those. Maybe the candy. This paper pack can be very whimsical and youthful, but I want to go with more of a age appropriate. We were looking at hairstyles for my son, so I saved that off of Pinterest. That's hilarious. Actually, just so y'all don't think I got a bunch of good looking men on my iPad camera roll, this is my son. I zoomed in and cropped this photo to upload it into ChatGTP and then ask it to put different hairstyles on him. And of course, Chat is terrible for that. Do not recommend. But you can see he's a handsome boy, but in desperate need of a haircut. Looks great in a ball cap, but we need to style that. So I thought this would be good. I just got to get his girlfriend convinced. Okay, back to the layout. Let's bring our pattern paper options in here for our base. So I think I want the black one as my base layer. And again, this one is 6 by 12. So it's probably wider than the one on the sketch, but that's okay. We're just using the inspiration. Let's see, for my photos, maybe about 10.5 inches. I'll go ahead and cut this one down. And then let's add a little black ink to the edges just to finish this off. I did pause for just a moment to go see what JMO was texting me about because I saw a little picture image come through. So naturally, I was curious. And it was just kind of a eek, this is so fun. I forgot how fun this technique was with a sneak peek of what she's using in her upcoming video, which is going to air today on Friday. If you're watching my video when it first comes out. So be sure to head on over to Jama's channel because she is using a Christmas card for her inspiration, featuring a very fun technique I think you're going to love. Okay, let's bring these back in staggered like the sketch. Now, I have this paper. So if we layer them how they are on the sketch design, I don't think we're going to see enough because this is kind of a big pattern. So I think I'm going to go rogue and switch it up and maybe just do a column of this. But I think we need to see more to appreciate it. Maybe 3 inches might be good. Yeah, let's go with 3 inches. Let me move this out of the way. And then we'll just kind of, so we still have our 3 layers, they're just a little bit different, but I love how you can just take certain elements from a sketch. Now we have the offcuts from those 2 pieces, and I want to bring those over to the left-hand side. So I'm thinking about putting my photos like this, which is kind of like a flipped or, a rotation of what we have on the right-hand side. So this is also 6 by 12 because it's the other half of the other piece. Now we could do a reverse, but I'm thinking since we're going horizontal, we should do something like this possibly. I want to bump this in just a bit since it's not extending over onto the right-hand page. We'll give it a little separation. And then of course we need to bring this in. Maybe on the left, we'll just do, let's go for 2 inches. I thought it would be fun to add the Elements of Text stamp set, and I've got the distressed tile. I thought this would be a nice look for this layout. So we have tons of white space here. Well, not tons, but we have some white space. And I think this will be a really cool design element. Now, this stamp set, Elements of Text, is no longer available, but you can recreate this look with, a multitude of texture stamps. You can't actually read the text. It's just a design element. So you can accomplish the same look with journaling lines, really, just kind of staggered down the column. So we'll start with gray ink. I want it a little bit lighter. Let me bump this over so I have a nice straight edge to guide me. I'm using Smoky Slate, and then we'll stamp the splatter with black for a little bit of contrast. So I suggested journaling lines to kind of recreate this look, but really any type of texture stamp. Maybe you have a brick stamp or something like that. That would definitely be cool in lieu of the text here. So I'm just kind of bringing that in. We're not doing this all the way down. I want this kind of intermittently dispersed through my column of text here. So we'll add a little bit there, and I'm rotating the stamp just so it is varied and looks a little bit more organic. And you really can't mess this up. And if you do mess it up, you can always put a piece of white cardstock over that and no one would ever know. I repeated the stamping element on the left-hand side. I did trim this down. So again, we have that margin, giving it a little separation from the right-hand side. And these are not tacked down because I'm not quite sure. Depending on the embellishments, we may need to move that around. And speaking of embellishments, I have a whole lot of fun stuff to decorate with. Now, I've been busy doing a little die cutting, but some of these are from the punch-out sheets. And then I have a whole bunch of cobwebs here. So you can see I used these on my last Halloween layout, and you can make like a complete circle or just use a portion of it. They're really fun, and I love the haunted house. So I have a whole bunch of these. I am envisioning creating like using the spider web as my base cluster. And then let me show you where all of these came from. So I've got them separated out. With the paper collection, you get 2 sheets of punch outs. So I'm trying to stick with the color scheme of black and orange. So I'm not sure if I'll use the broom, but I grabbed it just in case. So from the punch out sheet, we have a bunch of bats. We have the trees. You can see there's even more bats. There's tons of shapes in here. I punched out a cauldron, and then the broom, and then these adorable crows sitting on the pumpkins. So those are all from the punch outs. And then these shapes are die cuts along with the spider webs. So from Fright Night, you can see there's a spider here. I'll show you where that came from here in just a moment. But I die cut a bunch of the spider webs from Fright Night. So this is the coordinating die that goes with the stamp set. And then the adorable haunted house and the little iron fence is from Spooky Halloween. So we have these shapes here. So you can see these die cut bats. I love how detailed they are. And there's the fence. And then we have the haunted house. So you do have some dies that cut out the dog and cat. And then there's some nice little background stamps. There's the pumpkin and the broom. But I thought that maybe I would just use these on this particular layout. And then these are really cool. In the annual catalog, there is an ephemera pack called Time for Celebration, and you can see there are seasonal stickers in here, just kind of some randomness for all the different seasons. But the witch hat and the pumpkin and the leaves and the spiders all came from this Time for Celebration mix and match ephemera. And what's cool about these is they're actually stickers. So they're just quick and easy. You can see that peels off, and this way you have a bunch of ephemera, and there's 2 sheets of each. So I have more pumpkins and another witch hat and more of these leaves. I grabbed both spiders and I thought these were kind of neat. So it's very windswept. There's lots of leaves going around in the pictures. So I might make more of these. And for that, these are the stickers from the Time for Celebration ephemera pack, but we can use our Gathering Moments leaves to make more, just stamping them in, like gray or black. So I grabbed this one, but we have lots of bits and pieces to create with, and I'm super excited. This is going to be fun. Let's take a look at the sketch to see where they suggest putting the ephemera or the embellishments. So they've got their title here. I usually like to put my titles on the left-hand page. So this could be a little subtitle or maybe nothing at all. I do like words, so I'll probably bring in a word here. But you can see they have a circle and then some, kind of embellishments wrapping around. And here's little butterflies. And I thought, oh, maybe we could replicate that with the bats. That might be really cool. So let's go ahead and just start with this cluster here. I find it helpful to start with the larger embellishments first. So we've got this big tree from the punch outs, and then I use my Spotlight on Nature circle dies to cut a white circle for my subtitle. On the Fright Night die set, there's 2 word options. They're super cute. We have eek and boo. Either one of these would work. Let's see here. Let's go with eek. I like that. I'm going to die cut that from black paper. I want to add a pop of orange to each of my clusters. So we have these pumpkins. That one seems kind of big next to the tree. This little guy with the crow. I love that these are facing different directions. So we want the one facing in. I think that scale is much better. And then since that cluster on the sketch is kind of wrapping around the photos, let's bring the spider web down here. We'll kind of tuck those all under so they look like they're originating, or looks like it's one big circle. And this is coming together really nicely. I love it. Let me figure out what I want to do on the left-hand side. I know for sure I want to use the haunted house from Spooky Halloween. It does not show up over here. So we definitely need to put that on the gray background. And I think a house with a creepy tree makes a nice little scene. I don't like that. You know what? I've got an idea. Let's put this paper underneath the gray. Since most of our embellishments are black, I think this will give us more of that lighter color background so our embellishments will stand out. So something like this, and then I'll tuck the tree coming out from under the photo, and then we have a perfect spot for the haunted house. So we need a little orange. And let's bring our other crow. And again, I like that this one's looking in. He could go, let's put him there for now. And then my title's going to go underneath here. So I'm thinking the cobweb might be really fun to kind of start the title cluster. So we'll tuck these under here. I have 3 little cobweb sections left. I may need to cut more, but I wanted 3 points of this cobweb. Where can we put it? Maybe here, kind of coming out the, hey, we only need 3. Sweet. Now I also have this little fence, and we don't have to use everything. I realize I'm putting a lot on here, but it's so cute and I'm having fun creating these little scenes. We could continue that. Maybe that's enough. See, it doesn't show up there. What about, we've got the leaves. Maybe just add a few leaves behind this little guy. That's cute. And no, I don't think we need those. We'll save those for maybe the title. This big pumpkin does fit quite nicely. We have much more open space here. And I should probably work on the title. So I have the Boo Crew. I don't think I want to use that. There's little title options here, but I wanted something a little bit larger. I have this word Halloween. This is from Words for the Season. I've used the fall themed words several times, so we could mix something with this. These are from my stash. They're from last year. So let's see. Let me kind of pull this out so I can see it. Maybe we can mix and match the fonts. I know. Yeah, see, I love this and this, but they're too small, so not quite right. But we could use our jumbo alphabet dies here. So what if we did Halloween fun? I shared a whole video featuring these party banner alphabet dies and all the different ways you can dress them up, and I will leave that linked in the description box below. But we could overlap this. Let me go ahead and die cut those from black, and now we can use our distress tile embossing folder. I knew I wanted to bring this in. I was thinking of maybe a border strip, but this might be just what we need. I intentionally selected the cardstock with a white core so that the embossing folder would kind of crack the cardstock and we would get this look. You can sand it too. Now, if you don't want that, you can always mist it with a little bit of water or use a solid core black cardstock. But I love the look. It makes it look kind of spooky and distressed. And then let's layer our Halloween word. I cut this from white, and I think that is going to be perfect. But now we have an awkward spot above Halloween. I think this witch hat will be just the thing. I definitely want to use this. Do we want it there? No, we need to fill that awkward spot. So let's bring in some leaves to kind of tuck around here. I have my gathering moments and I've used the two leaves you see here. And I think I'm just going to do first and second generation ink to get a variety of color. So let's go ahead and just stamp a few of those, and then these will stamp it and then stamp again without re-inking. Let me grab some more paper. This way we almost get kind of like a lighter version so they look gray. There's three generations there. You can see how it lightens. I'll go ahead and die cut these out, and then we'll tuck them around the hat to kind of fill in those little trapped spaces, if you will. These photos were actually taken on my niece's birthday. That's what she wanted to do. She wanted to kind of just get dressed up and go out and with her friends and take photos, kind of have a little photo shoot on her birthday. And I'm so thankful she shares the pictures with me so I can add them to her scrapbook for her. You know what we need to add? I think we need a little sparkle using the Wink of Stella shimmer brush. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that. And then we will add it to the haunted house here. So this is like a little paintbrush filled with glitter. And, this isn't working. Let me put down your all purpose mat or a glass mat. You can kind of squeeze it out and get that flowing. And then just glitter up your die cuts. I am adding a lot of embellishing to this layout, and you could definitely scale back, but because it's kind of grayscale, look at that sparkle and shine. I love it. But because it's, a fairly monochromatic aside from the orange, grayscale background, I feel like we can get away with more embellishing. So we need the bats. I don't think I want to layer them over the photos. Let's just have a few of these kind of cascading out the side here. I did add some shimmer brush to those as well. This collection has coordinating shimmer star foam stickers. So they come in three colors: white, purple, and black. And I added the black little stars you can see in there. I put some in each cluster and they're glittery and they're kind of squishy. They're a fun little embellishment. You can see a few more there. This was a fun sketch to use as a jumping off point, and I hope you enjoyed seeing it stretched into a double page. I have a link in the description box below that'll take you over to my friend Amy's channel, Paper Therapy with Amy, so you can see what she did with this sketch. I'm pretty sure she's going to have a double page. I haven't seen it yet, so it's a surprise, and I can't wait to check it out. Thanks for spending time with me today, and I'll see you soon here on YouTube.